Is everybody still celebrating that win from yesterday? I know it was preseason, but you got to feel good about this Patriots team after a 48-18 win over the Washington Commanders. Welcome into Patriots Today by Chat Sports. I am your host, Brett Alper, and we had a recap. We had a reaction to the game, but today we are going to be talking about the winners and the losers from yesterday's win over the Commanders. But before we get started, I wanted to go and look at the August sub-battle. We're only a couple days into August. Not the football season, still only 3 weeks away. But I was looking at the AFC East rival, the Bills breakdown, and they're beating us in the sub-battle. Like, what are we doing here? I don't like to get beat on anything, whether it's football, whether it's on a game, anything. So we have to beat them. If you want Patriots content every single day, we're going to be live for every single Patriots game. So if you don't want to miss that coverage, go ahead and hit that sub button right now. Couple players that I just want to be kind of talking about here, outside looking in. They're both winners, but didn't make my official list of the Patriots winners. Not going to talk about other losers because there's not many. But you have Landon Larison, the undrafted rookie, and he looks good. He had a touchdown. He was running all over, lowering his shoulder, but he also ended up in a walking boot. We don't know the extent to what he's in, but hopefully he's okay, but he really looks good. And then the tight end, Jack Westover, he was blocking all over the place, playing in the second quarter, playing as fullback. He was one of those guys for Josh McDaniels to line up at fullback now that Brock Lampy has unfortunately been placed on IR, and he was playing every single quarter of the game, and he's really making his name known. I think he can make the roster over Jaheim Bell and maybe even possibly C.J. Dupree as that fullback spot. All right, let's get to the official winners from Brett. TreVeyon Henderson is your number one biggest winner, like without 100% doubt. He didn't play that much. Let's talk about it. He didn't play that much, but he didn't need to. The opening kickoff of the game takes it 100 yards for a touchdown. Put on the burners. Immediately you saw the just jolt of speed that he has, and then he had one carry for 18 yards. Like, once they saw that, they said, yeah, we're going to put you on the side. We don't want you to get hurt because you're going to be our guy. And we saw Ramondre playing a little bit in the second quarter, like a couple after the starters came out, and you saw Joshua Dobbs in at starting quarterback. I think that the running back battle has immediately spiked up a little bit, and we could see TreVeyon Henderson fight for that number one running back spot. We saw him pass blocking in those first couple drives. We saw him catch a pass. We saw him run downfield. He can do everything that you want out of a running back. Josh McDaniels sees that. Mike Vrabel sees that. And I really think that if he improves and gets better and better, and we see this week in and week out, Ramondre Stevenson can move to that second spot. I did like what I saw out of Antonio Gibson. He had a good kick return too, but you can see the gigantic difference in speed between Gibson and Henderson, and they're both similar running backs, but you got to give that edge to TreVeyon Henderson. Absolutely biggest winner of the game. Now we got the guy who caught the most passes of the game, fan favorite of mine, and I've been talking about him nonstop throughout this channel, and he was very quiet throughout training camp, but Efton Chism, have a day, my guy. Have an absolute day. 6 catches, 50 yards, and a touchdown to top it all off from Ben Woldridge. It was a duck of a pass, an absolute duck. And Chism came in, grabbed it, broke a tackle, and ran right into the end zone. And it really impressed all the fans because he's a fan favorite around New England. It also impressed the head coach, Mike Vrabel. This is what he had to say. He said, I think his play strength just stood out to me. First from the sideline. I think it's the way he blocks, his ability to catch the ball in traffic. The ball basically tipped and bobbled out of Ben's hand, kind of ran through a tackle. No, he ran through a tackle. He broke that tackle. Let's not mess anything about that. He broke that tackle. He ran through contact, and we threw him a screen. He also made a big play on that screen pass, if you guys remember that one. So those are all positive things. I think his play strength, to me, is what stood out. What I saw is that he's stronger and bigger than he looks. He's 5'10", 193. I'm about 5'10", 200 pounds, and he looks bigger, stronger, faster than me because, well, I don't play football, and I can't catch passes in the NFL. I really think that Efton Chism is sneaking his way onto this roster. Like, I'll talk about it. He's not listed as an official loser because he really looked good on special teams, but Javon Baker played the whole second half and didn't record a catch. Did not record a catch. So Efton Chism, I put him over that, and we're talking about another wide receiver going in later into the show. But what's your confidence level that Efton Chism makes the 53-man roster? I mean, 6 catches in a first preseason game, the first time you put on the pads and you're really looking good. He should have had more, and Josh Dobbs missed him multiple times. He's not 6'5", Josh Dobbs. He had to go out there. He missed him. So what's your scale? Scale from 1 to 10. 1, he ain't making the roster, or 10, you can't cut him. You cannot cut him whatsoever. All right, my second guy on the list, and I got to take a little, I told you so, and it's DJ James. I said during the pregame, during the post, during the kind of live stream of what's going to happen. Who should we look at to watch? And it's DJ James, and he was all over the field because you saw that with Christian Gonzalez and Carlton Davis out, that he was going to be probably your guy that steps in playing backup cornerback next to Marcus Jones. Marcus Jones let up a couple passes. I mean, everybody, you're just getting warmed up. But DJ James stepping in for Marcellus Dial, who tore his ACL, unfortunately. But like the interception that he had was awesome. He read the quarterback's eyes perfect. He read the wide receiver's body perfect, broke the route, immediate interception, and it was just a great play to see. He's a guy that I really think could make this roster. And when I made my players to watch, my preview, I talked about this was my first guy on defense to watch, DJ James. And who was the guy that was kind of looking out of the blue on defense that was like, oh, this guy is here to play. This guy can put the blankets on, put the straps in. It was DJ James. So that's why you subscribe, because you get perfect Patriots coverage for in-depth coverage on this team. That's why you hit that sub button. And then you got to talk about Truman Jones. And we'll talk about one of the losers of this, but he is slowly, and we didn't hear about his name all throughout training camp. But Truman Jones is one of those guys that we saw, and he was all over the field. He was a ball hawk. He was getting in every single pile. He had 5 tackles against Washington last night, but he was playing defense perfectly. Every time he could read where the ball was going, getting pressure on the quarterback. And that's what you want to see out of this Mike Vrabel defense. A guy that can get pressure. Not someone who's just going to secure the run, wink, wink, nod, nod, if you know what I'm talking about here. But Truman Jones is that guy that's slowly creeping up the depth chart. And he was the first guy in, even though K'Lavon Chaisson was out and Harold Landry was out. That was your first backup to go in for these guys. So Truman Jones, he was all over the field. And he's just going to keep going and going and going. Yeah, you're not going to pass Harold Landry. You're not going to pass Keon White. You're not going to pass Christian Barmore. We saw him play outside linebacker at one point, which was wild to see. Don't understand why we saw him playing outside. He is a defensive tackle, but that, it seems like the edge rushers are going to be set in stone right after the first game, and there's a guy that's probably going to get cut, and I think you guys know who I'm talking about, but I'll give it a sneak peek for later in this show. And the final winner, I mean, it's got to be Mike Vrabel, right? It has to be Mike Vrabel. To go into your first ever game as the coach of the Patriots, yeah, I know he has experience coaching with the Tennessee Titans. He has coaching experience as an assistant with Ohio State, as an assistant with the Cleveland Browns last year. But to go in and win your first game and not even trying to run up the score. It's not like he was going down the field trying to score as many points, but you score 48 points in a preseason game. You score 48 points in an NFL game against the Commanders, a team that made the NFC Championship. He was throwing out his challenge flag. He was taking this game seriously because this is how he is. That hard-nosed, no-nonsense coach in this league. He's got to be the winner just to show out, just to see the vibes. Everybody was locked in. The Patriots, I don't think, had a penalty until 2 minutes left in the first quarter. They are disciplined, and it seems clearly that Mike Vrabel is the perfect answer for this team as head coach. It's got to be a winner, and I can't wait to see it next week against the Minnesota Vikings. We'll get to our losers in just a second, but these jerseys are still on sale. Drake Maye, if you want to rep the franchise quarterback, he only played 2 drives last night, and I got to say, I'm not going to put him as a winner or a loser, but he had a really, really bad turnover. Chatsports.com/Maye jersey. We'll have that in the comments and description of today's video. You can get it in the home. You can get it in the road white, or you can get it in the throwback red. Just get it while supplies last, because they're not going to be on sale for much longer. Chatsports.com/Maye jersey. Once again, we'll have that in the comments and description of today's video. All right, let's get to the losers, and unfortunately, this is the biggest loser, and this might have cost him his job. If he goes on IR, that might save him, and it's JaLynn Polk. And he didn't really make an impression on the team beforehand, but there was a play where he took the end around, and I'll say he would look slow. He got tackled, he fell on his shoulder, and then he immediately got up, holding it like this, ran to the side, and this comes from Mike Reese. He said, Jaylen Polk, towel over his head, headed to the locker room for further evaluation. And we don't know the extent of it. I'm hoping that it's nothing in particular. I hope it's just kind of a stinger. But Sophie Weller, who's a reporter, she asked Mike Vrabel. She tweeted out, Mike Vrabel was asked if there was an update on Jaylen Polk. And then Vrabel said, no update. He'll get more testing and see our doctors. Wasn't able to finish the game. That's if there's no update like that, I don't want to assume the worst, but I hope he's okay. But it's not good because he has to be on this. Like, you have to play, or else you're not going to make the roster. If Efton Chism is looking good, and then Javon Baker looked really, really good at special teams. He made a bunch of tackles. If he can save his roster spot by being a gunner, a special teamer, because Marcellus Dial was also on special teams, so that spot's open, and Baker moved in, and he looked good on special teams. Jaylen Polk might be the odd man out, and if you're not on the field, if you're hurt, Patriots can't see anything, and you look slow last night, you might be getting cut. And then my other loser, and because Truman Jones just looked great last night, and he's your edge rusher, Anthony Jennings is one of my losers. I'm not saying he looked bad, but there's a point and a problem of how Anthony Jennings was, and the biggest thing was he was in the game in the fourth quarter, and he was a starter last season. And if you are a starter in this NFL team, if you are a second string guy in the NFL, you're not playing in the fourth quarter. That's just not happening. Jennings was in the game in the fourth with all the backups. And you know about preseason football. If you're playing in the fourth quarter, it's most likely you're trying to save your roster spot. And with Truman Jones, he didn't play in the fourth quarter. At least the final spots of it, because Anthony Jennings was in the game. I think from what I saw, Truman Jones has jumped him in the depth chart. And it becomes, Truman Jones might not be a better guy than Anthony Jennings. But Mike Vrabel's defense of how he likes guys that are speed, can get to the quarterback, and can hit, that fits a lot more with Jones than it does with Anthony Jennings, because Anthony Jennings can't get to the quarterback at all. We saw some good plays from Jennings when it was run defending, but Mike Vrabel doesn't want a run defender. He wants a guy that can get to the quarterback and pressure, and Anthony Jennings does not fit this scheme, so I think he's going to be on his way out. Clearly, if you're playing in the fourth quarter of the first preseason game of the Patriots when you were a starter last season. Who was your biggest winner from the game last night? Was it Efton Chism? Was it TreVeyon Henderson? Or was it someone different? I really liked what I saw from Kyle Williams, but Josh Dobbs couldn't get him the ball. So go down in the comments section right now on who was your biggest winner from last night's game. And if you want to keep the conversation going, if you want to talk about the Patriots all the time, I was talking about Tom Brady's statue. Why aren't you holding the Lombardi? You can find that on my Twitter. You could also find that on my Instagram, @TheRealAlper. So make sure you go follow, and also, let's go Pats.